They say every culture has its own flood myth. But what if it wasn't myth at all? From the frozen plateaus of Tibet to the jungles of the Amazon, from ancient Mesopotamia to the Aboriginal dreamtime, the same story echoes, a cataclysmic flood wiping out the world as it was. Different names, different gods, but always the same event. The Sumerians told of Ziusudra, the Hindus of Manu, the Maya of a great deluge sent to cleanse the earth, the Greeks of Deucalion, the Hebrews of Noah. How is it possible that cultures with no contact told the same story? Did they remember something real? Or was this a deeper kind of memory? One etched not just into scrolls and tablets, but into the very collective consciousness of humanity. We've been told these are just symbolic tales, but what if they're not? What if the earth remembers? This is not just about an ancient flood. It's about what we're not supposed to remember. And once you see the clues, it becomes impossible to unsee them. When geologists examined sediment layers from around the world, they found something strange. A layer of fine silt, mixed with marine fossils, sitting above what should be dry land. This layer appears abruptly, suddenly, as if an ocean had swept across the continents. And it doesn't just exist in one place. It's been found from the Black Sea Basin to the Mississippi Valley to the Australian outback. But here's the kicker. These layers often coincide with massive extinction events in the fossil record. Even today, in Göbekli Tepe, the oldest known megalithic site on Earth, archaeologists found flood-like sediment burying the entire complex. No one expected that. No one could explain it. And yet, the myths told us it happened. What if these ancient stories weren't metaphors, but eyewitness accounts passed down through the survivors? What if the human mind, our DNA even, remembers more than we think? Some scientists now speak of epigenetic memory. That trauma, catastrophe, and survival can imprint on generations. What else is hidden in us, waiting to be reawakened? If this makes your mind buzz, drop a thought in the comments. You might not be the only one who remembers. How could civilizations oceans apart tell the same story? In ancient Mesopotamia, the god Enki warns Ziusudra of an impending deluge to cleanse human corruption. Thousands of miles away, in India's Shatapatha Brahmana, Manu is told by a talking fish to build a boat before the waters rise. In China, the flood hero Yu the Great is said to have tamed the waters after a great churning of heaven and earth. In Mesoamerica, the Popol Vuh describes a flood that ends an era of flawed humans, allowing a new world to emerge. Even Norse myths speak of a sea rising to devour the land, resetting the world in a cosmic cycle. None of these peoples had met, yet they spoke the same language of destruction and survival. Was it coincidence or memory? Some researchers believe these were different eyes, witnessing the same sky. Some whisper of a great celestial body passing close to Earth. Others speak of polar shifts, of the Earth tilting, sending oceans surging. But whatever it was, the world changed, and those who lived through it never forgot. What if your ancestors were among them? And what if the story still lives in you? If so many cultures remembered the same cataclysm, why is it barely mentioned in our official history? Why do mainstream narratives reduce these flood stories to mere allegory? Because if they're true, everything changes. It means humanity is not evolving in a straight line, but through cycles, creation, destruction, rebirth. It means there was a time before the flood, a forgotten world, one with knowledge, structure, maybe even technology, that doesn't fit our current timeline. And here's the unsettling part. The further back we look, the more sophisticated things become. Megalithic sites buried under mud and time, alignments with stars that modern architects struggle to replicate, myths that speak of the sky cracking open and waters swallowing civilizations whole. Is it inconvenient or threatening? Perhaps the real danger is not the flood itself, but what came before it, what was lost, what was erased, and who benefits from the forgetting. If you felt that strange ache, that sense of something missing from our story, you're not alone, and you're not imagining it. Comment below if this resonates. Even one voice remembering ripples out. Before the flood, there may have been a world far more advanced than we imagine. Sites like Göbekli Tepe, submerged Yonaguni structures, and the mysterious Bimini Road all defy historical placement. Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried long before the rise of agriculture. Who buried it? Why? And what were they hiding? Under the sea near Japan, the Yonaguni monument shows straight-edged formations, terraces, and steps, too precise to be natural. In the Bahamas, massive stone blocks form paths underwater, pointing toward a time when sea levels were lower. All these sites predate known civilizations, yet they speak of planning, engineering, intention. Some say this was Atlantis, others Lemuria. But maybe it was never about names. Maybe it was about a civilization that understood things we've long forgotten: geometry, energy, cycles of time. And when the cataclysm came, their world vanished beneath the waves. But fragments remained, whispers, ruins that don't fit. What if the ancient flood stories are the key, not just to what was destroyed, but to what once existed, like pieces of a broken mirror waiting to be reassembled? If this hits something deep in you, maybe you're part of that remembering. What if we're not just remembering through stories, but through our very DNA? Modern science is beginning to explore the concept of epigenetic memory, that trauma, knowledge, and even emotions can be passed from generation to generation. Could a global flood, one that shattered the earth and rewrote human history, leave such a mark? People around the world report dreams of massive waves, a sense of dread near the ocean, an unexplained longing when visiting ancient sites. They call it déjà vu. But what if it's something deeper? What if your body remembers what your mind forgot? And why now? Why is this ancient memory surfacing in this generation? Some believe the Earth is entering another cycle, that we're at the edge of something big, and the past is trying to warn us. Because memory isn't just about what was, it's about what might be again. If something inside you stirred while watching this, if goosebumps rose for no reason, it may not be random. Comment below what you felt. Your story might echo someone else's awakening. What if the memory of the flood wasn't simply lost, but hidden? Not erased by time, but buried, deliberately. Ancient texts hint at this. In the Book of Enoch, the Watchers warn of knowledge deemed too dangerous. In Sumerian tablets, gods argue about whether to let humanity survive at all. Even Plato's account of Atlantis came from Egyptian priests who told Solon, "You Greeks are but children, for you remember only one flood, Not many. Why would these records speak in riddles? Why veil truth in myth? Because power lies in what we remember, and control lies in what we're made to forget. A humanity that knows its true origins, its cycles, its resilience, is hard to manipulate. So stories became fairy tales, evidence became anomalies, and the survivors' voices were drowned, just like their cities. But memory doesn't die, it waits. In dreams, in ruins, in symbols carved into forgotten stone. And now, it's rising again. Not as a warning, but as a reckoning. If this message feels like something you already knew, you're not alone. Scroll down, say something. Even a few words can spark the remembrance in someone else. Maybe that's why the flood stories never truly faded. They were never just stories. They were codes, markers for those who would one day begin to remember, not with facts, but with a feeling. A shiver when hearing the myth of Noah, a tear when standing before the sea, a whisper in the bones that says, "You were there." This isn't just history, it's inheritance. You carry the echo of a world drowned and the will to rebuild it. The ancients didn't just survive, they left clues, stone aligned with stars, legends woven with warnings, and names whispered across time. Maybe you've always felt the pull, the knowing that there's more to this world than what we're shown. That pull brought you here, so don't scroll away in silence. If something stirred within you, say it. Even a single comment becomes part of the awakening. Like the tide, the memory rises, and what comes next is up to us.